household debt, 200% of GDP, will constrain further borrowing in the future. We've talked about this in the past. What are they going to do with the next financial crisis? Are they going to have this, SDR? Is the IMF going to come in and roll everything up? Is it going to be gold? It could be cryptocurrency. And
all right, look, I didn't mean to threaten anybody. Okay, that's just metaphor. I'm a poet. That's why I'm popular in the rap community. Now stay there for the second half because we've got a fantastic interview coming away. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Kaiser Report. I'm Max Kaiser. Time now to go to a special guest, investor and CEO of and founder of O Group, Maya Vujinovic. Maya, welcome.
Good to be here.
Previously, you were the Chief Innovation Officer at GE Digital. So you've got experience in, let's call it the Fortune 500, the big, most highly capitalized companies in America, and you bring to them your work in artificial intelligence, and you are now deeply immersed in blockchain. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How does blockchain factor into what you're doing now?
We're an investor in blockchain companies and AI companies and cybersecurity companies. We're absolutely fascinated with the empowerment that blockchain could bring to
empowerment. How does it empower?
Because it decentralizes a lot of the business models that exist today and allows you to have a bank on your phone versus a bank account.
Right. So decentralization in this instance, though, is also disintermediation. That means that a lot of the layers of a big enterprise are squashed.
Absolutely.
That means decisions are made more rapidly and more effectively, I would imagine.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. A lot of business models that you just pointed out are going to be disrupted very fast because suddenly people can trade between themselves without ever needing a middleman.
Here's a question for you. Big corporations, or any corporation, typically they make money out of solving inefficiencies. For example, the car from Henry Ford was efficiently produced and people could get around a lot faster and the economy grew as a result. But are we at a stage in capitalism where the efficiencies of these big companies is so great that the margins for profit are squeezed down to zero? For example, if you're in a microtransaction business and you are looking at profits that are even smaller than a grocery store, and grocery stores are only 2% profit margins or gross profit margins, but you're talking about even less than 2%, how does that translate into earnings growth? And how does that then become, we've hit peak earnings, I'll just coin a phrase right now, due to the hyper efficiency of blockchain?
Not just hyper efficiency, blockchain hasn't reached the scalability. Let's be clear, okay? It hasn't, and I actually, I'm challenging a lot of folks out there to say that blockchain is scalable. It depends where you're at, depends what kind of legacy system you have, depends what you're trying to do, depends what your customers are trying to do. So at the moment, some of the platforms out there that are achieving some scalability will need to be integrated into legacy systems. And you are right, a lot of the big companies are squeezed out, and a lot of the companies are going to be squeezed out not only on a profit side, but on the transparency side. Not just blockchain, but many other technologies, emerging tech, machine learning, satellite data, cybersecurity, AR, VR, robotics, blockchain are all forcing transparency onto any platform that exists out there. So if you don't start innovating yourself very fast, you're probably going to lose out.
You say it has to be integrated into legacy systems. Why? In other words, these are new systems. They're replacing existing systems. Like P2P music file sharing on the web, it didn't have to integrate with long-playing records or cassette tapes. It obliterated that model.
I love that analogy. That's an amazing analogy, and I think that you're absolutely right. Some industries are not going to need that integration into legacy systems because they will just need to leapfrog, as you just pointed out in music. Why do we need to go back and integrate in certain things? Unfortunately, some industries in the world are not run that way, and they are run in the way that current systems work, so why change them? Also have to remember that a lot of these companies run by quarterly numbers and they report to Wall Street, and so space for innovation is very tight. And so in order to mobilize your whole team to innovate in something new and see if it's worth investing your time, right? Because remember, so many innovations are coming at companies, and how do you choose as a leader of a large company? It's very difficult for you to choose.
Okay, in the
what's
case of the
profitable,
music
what's not.
industry, it's digital. And
Yes.
that is obviously a candidate for blockchain innovation.
Yes.
You're saying, okay, some industries, let's call it the cement industry, where they're mixing rocks and pebbles and water, and it's hard to imagine how blockchain is going to transform the concrete business. You got to move it in a mixer, you got to pour it onto the road, and you got to make a road, basically. So is it going to bifurcate the industry? There'll be some industries that are legacy, but not legacy like they're ever going to catch up with blockchain. They're dead. They're kind of like, they're dinosaurs. And we're moving into, people are going to, instead of thinking, oh, concrete needs to be blockchain, they're going to be thinking like, why don't I just use my mind to use a blockchain to communicate with somebody in Africa using thoughts as tokens? And I don't need to go there at all. I'm just like flying in outer space. I'm George Jetson. You work with artificial intelligence. I mean, are we going into some tokenized robotic where my thoughts are monetized? I'm thinking I want a hot fudge sundae in the Kalahari, and I'm there with some woman who's making it for me. What's going on?
So I think you're right. This industries will need to be separated in two ways. There's some basic core of an industry that won't change. But if you look at the example of the cement industry, absolutely, the payment system and the supply chain will be probably nudged by blockchain.
How does this? If I want my consciousness expanded to the point where I don't care about Jeff Bezos,
Yeah.
like if what's happening? Are you going to essentially hypnotize me into thinking that I don't care anymore? Are you the devil?
I'm not going to do that.
Is this the worst? Are you the
No,
apocalypse?
remember, I'm
At the end of-
Orpheus.
What? Orpheus? The guy from
Greek mythology?
No, from the Matrix.
Swayed-
No, the Matrix.
Maybe. I didn't
want me
think
to
about
take-
that. Thank you
You want me
so
to take the red pill with the blue pill. You're the guy with the steak. I know the steak is fake, but I'm eating it anyway. You're trying to take me.
Orpheus is the way to go.
Your background is amazing in terms of your ability to synthesize all this information and come up with your own theories. But it just seems like if I look at the world today and I see what humans are doing to the place that they live, their ecosystem. I remember I had an ant farm as a kid, and if you know, the ants eventually they foul their own environment and they die off.
That's right.
So I mean, it seems like humans are doing their best to make the Earth inhospitable for themselves, inhabitable, not inhabitable for them. Isn't that kind of happening? And is AI ready to abandon humans?
I think, again, those are some of the really far off questions, right? Because we don't know that yet. I do think that there are a number of people out there who are trying to use technology for its good. I mean, look at decentralization and blockchain, right? There's a whole spectrum of blockchain right now that's being developed for social good, for financial inclusion, for bringing more people out there onto the economic platform. So I do think that people come with good intentions, but I do see absolutely exponential growth of technology and our inability to keep up with that exponential growth. So unless we have a conscious design into our system, no technology will solve our problems. We'll still have to have a willpower, and we still have to have a conscious decision to solve a problem. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the rate of evolution, if you will, selection of the fittest and the mutations that are involved, and it's like in the technology space, it's going at a lot more rapid pace. Like they're out evolving us. We're pretty slow. The whole procreation for humans is relatively clunky compared to algorithms, mating with each other and giving birth to new algorithms, new machines, so it seems like they're racing ahead kind of at a breakneck speed. What do we as humans have to fight back? I'm in the camp that AI is going to win this thing, and it's going to happen a lot sooner than anyone's expecting. How do we fight back, Maya? How do we fight back? Do I need to get start a harem and start a Max Kaiser civilization? And just what do I need to do? How do I fight back? I'm very frightened about this.
I think you need to go to blockchain boot camp.
Yeah.
Learn how the blockchain works and start fighting back.
Assuming that I have some rudimentary knowledge about this, what exactly would that mean? I live with Jameson Locke in a North Carolina hut with guns and prepare for the apocalypse and start gunning down my neighbors?
Yeah, I think you are taking it to extreme. We're not there yet, and I haven't really thought about, next 50 years and how that looks.
And not only that, I don't trust you. You're looking at me with these brown eyes. You're like, don't worry. We're not there yet, but and I know that we're there. We're on the threshold of the extinction event for humans, and the machines essentially are taking over.
So I think every single one of us, as I said, carries a conscious decision to influence the technology and the platform we're
We're
building.
completely being influenced by the technology already. Our conscious minds, we're outsourcing our information to Google. No one bothers to memorize anything anymore. No one bothers to think anymore.
That's
It's just
very
like,
true.
oh, I can't remember it. I just use Google.
That's very true.
In the case of our needs and our wants and our desires and our titillations, it's all at an app, at a button. No, there's no effort anymore. The physicality of humans is becoming a blob state. We have no reason to even to get up in the morning anymore. The machines have taken over. Where am I getting this wrong?
I think one of the things that I would point out is depends on the place in the world you're in. There are a lot of places in the world that actually need to get up and need to do the work. I think we belong in a bucket of call us lucky. Some would say lucky, some call unlucky, right? And other places in the world, they're still very far off from what you and I are talking about.
Okay.
So I think the world is becoming very separated.
So geographically, that's okay. So let's talk about that for a second. In areas of the world that have been separated by physical distance,
That's right.
just to get water would require a trip to the well or to the river, take hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that this AI-enabled world means that the same compression of time that we enjoy in the advanced economies kind of is coming to economies that have been not participating.
Absolutely.
In a way, especially with the telephony being in place. So is that accurate? And what does that mean for these areas of the world exactly?
I think it's absolutely accurate. The world is becoming quite separated. Folks say that the world is becoming more interconnected. It is becoming more interconnected, and it's easy for us to disseminate information and through blockchain possibly even trade value, right, in a fast way. But you're absolutely correct. Some of these places in the world, it's going to take much longer to catch up with that.
Okay,
Now, I could argue back
This
to
is
say,
a happy ending. I'm going to step all over
Sure.
that answer. This is a happy ending. So in other words, the consciousness, it's a word you brought up a few times, that exists in places that are cut off, is now able to be shared because of the tokenization of this economy. So folks that are being from extraordinarily rich cultures who have DNA that goes back through time and have been associated with some of the greatest artifacts and cultural and art, that is now being joined up through the platform. So my consciousness is being raised by being connected, tokenization.
through somebody else somewhere else.
Right.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see like a tapestry
I
of
see
consciousness raising.
empowerment. I see absolute empowerment of you here and a person somewhere in Africa that can trade something of value without a middle person.
And that thing about it could be a
Yes.
thought.
It could be.
And the thought is tokenized.
Yeah.
And then we're going back and
That's
forth
right.
on a microtransaction.
That's right.
Right? And so we're procreating in digital space. And we're giving birth to digital offspring through the exchange of, like, you could call it digital semen almost.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
If
you wanted to. If you wanted to say that. But I'm using a metaphor, of course.
Yes,
But-
I hope so.
So you don't challenge my metaphor.
Okay.
You do.
Mhm.
You might.
Mhm.
No comment.
Mhm. No
All right.
comment.
So you're an investor and you're founder of O Group, which the O could mean a number of different things. What it stands for Orpheus, correct?
O stands for Orpheus, yes, and in
What's the
Greek and Roman
significance? What's the
mythology,
significance there?
Orpheus was a god, a significant figure that could charm people and sway people his way through music and through
Right.
sound of music.
Right.
Yes.
I feel totally charmed. I don't know what this company does, but
You're
I'm
charmed.
willing. I'm going to follow this woman. Whatever she's doing, I'm following her. That's it. She's the future. Well, we got to go. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much. It was good to meet you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Kaiser Report with me, Max Kaiser, and Stacey Herbert. Thanks to our very special guest, Maya Vujinovich. If you want to catch us on Twitter, it's Kaiser Report. Until next time.